contentment and gratitude, and the timely hearing of Dhamma. This is the greatest good fortune. Being patient and easy to correct, the seeing of monks and nuns, and timely discussion on Dharma. This is the greatest good fortune. Asceticism and the spiritual life, insight into the noble truths, and the seeing for oneself of nirvana. This is the greatest good fortune. A mind that remains unshaken by the ups and downs of the world, sorrowless, stainless, and safe. This is the greatest good fortune. Having performed these things, nowhere can they be conquered. They are secure wherever they go. This is the greatest good fortune. I will now respond to 3 parts. To support one's mother and father, to cherish one's partner and children. Speaking from personal experience, this can be extremely painful, draining, confusing, scary, and raging. Yet recently I have seen great value in my life, and therefore great value in paying respect to my lineage within the broad universe, past, present, and future. It's been a journey, and I wish everyone the best on theirs. It seems funny to come full circle in 3 dimensions of spiraling up, down, in, out, around, fast, slow, alone, with spiritual friends, and within a 4th dimension across time. Sometimes we can't turn on the light, at least not for a very long time, but a bit of pleasant warmth in the darkness can make a huge difference. Working as a career nanny can be very noisy, hard work. Over the past 12 years, I've worked across segments of society in exploring what makes homes home. For me, the effort and trouble are endlessly preferable to the deafening void of having no family to come home to. For others, what I would call a deafening void is endlessly preferable to the experience of bearing the struggles, pain, and chaos of human life. Each polar opposite position is valid, as people such as our monks and nuns resiliently demonstrate by walking between the extremes of compassionately hearing everyone's experiences, walking only because running has been trained out of them, with the exception of running for good reason. Noble running allowed. Segueing to my caregiving philosophy, I love that Ajahn Brahm's Buddhism is so permissive and playfully funny. Following the rules, break the rules, as long as whatever you do is noble or on the learning path to being noble and kind, everything is good. Make it good. Good by whose standards? Question everything with noble, thundering silence. In my understanding, to be noble is to accept responsibility in having everyone's and everything's well-being in mind. Finding the time and place for everything all at once, in order yet somehow smoothly, gracefully unforced. Next time you find yourself saying no, try saying be noble instead, and see how that changes your lives. Be creative, have fun. I'd like to briefly expand on how I believe nobility means choosing accountability for the well-being of everyone and everything involved. Taking accountability even when not personally responsible for another's actions or domain of life. It's often not fair, but when I choose or see someone else choosing to do their best for what they value, this free choice is always meaningful to me. Authentic compliance cannot be bought or externally manipulated into existence. There's a lot to be said about wisdom in finding the right time and place to apply this train of thought. For example, it's nourishing to clean up after babies and teach hygiene practices as developmentally appropriate. Leading by example. explaining even when wiping the table or taking care of the floor, letting babies wipe with me using their own cloth, or enjoying the shared awareness of a cleaning up song. The message is, you and everything that welcomes you here into this world are precious to me. I believe in you, and one day you will be fully in charge of what lies in front of you. For now, let's enjoy together. The Eightfold Noble Path seems even more complex when juggling the levels of rightful responsibility for myself and multiple children, who each are at different and changing tiers of noble caregiving responsibility for self and others. As adults, how do we accept wider and wider accountability for cleaning up after real and metaphorical expressions of perceived chaos and digestion as evidence of life? How do we show up with fuller and fuller presence within our own network of lives? I'll give an example of my emotional work. When a child is upset about something that I see as petty and insignificant, I will reframe my perspective as, how wonderful that they are so innocent that this is all they are complaining about. Not in a demeaning way, but with the sentiment of kindness and gratitude for the innocence, sensitivity, and pleasant life that the person in front of me thankfully does have. Oh dear, how can I make your world an even kinder and more pleasant place? The other day, I woke a toddler up from his sleep. He was in a terrible mood. Didn't want his lunch, didn't want cuddles, didn't want to not have cuddles, didn't want to let his mother get changed into warmer clothes for a special school concert. So let's rewind time for a little bit. Oh dear, if only nothing changed. You were sleeping so deeply in your warm bed, doing exactly what your body was telling you you needed. If only nothing changed. I wish you were still in bed, fast asleep, feeling so warm and cozy and content. I can see how you're having a hard time now. I can hear your heart breaking. You're wide awake now. It's time to go. I am here to help. We'll get through this together. There were so many factors, so many causes and conditioning leading to how his body was mismatching with the time restrictions in our modern society. Even in the best of circumstances, life can still feel like a struggle. It's not to be minimized, and part of my mindfulness practice is to hold being emotionally kind while also firm in clear action. In terms of traveling through time to develop a noble frame of mind, I've had the following conversation with a lot of children in gaining their trust and respect by saying no to them. Especially when it comes to TV shows and the 3 to 9 age group who are programmed to parrot back what they experience, I will literally break down elements of the show that I disagree with, connect these elements with any inappropriate behavior that has been displayed recently, and then I will say, if I let you watch this show when I already know it's not good for you at this time, then I punish you for poor behavior. How much is your fault and how much is actually mine? What would be fair? Can we please find you something better? It's not as simple as a battle between kids and adults, because I've got your back by having a clear sense of support for us all. Learning and bonding through disagreeing. I think that the words of Siddhartha, Gautama, and Buddhism challenge us all to explore causes and conditioning as leaders within our own homes. How can everyone be supported to be noble and keep our sense of dignity? Other conversations around children's yielding of power include when they weren't given the dignity to concede. Like when a toy is unexpectedly broken, sibling misunderstandings and outright disagreements, not feeling ready to say goodbye or feeling disappointed in me when I don't have the expected power to fix their pain. Sometimes, in modeling honesty, humility, and openness toward difficult emotions, all we can do is apologize and bear witness to grief, rage, resilience, and inevitable changes. Interpersonal neurobiology has come a long way in mapping out our innate bodily wisdom. Within the current global context of the brink of a third world war, ongoing pandemic, and generations still alive who lived through the widely publicized First and Second World Wars, quieted everyday wars, and private wars within homes as passed down through traumatized generations. Within these contexts, I think that the values of compassion, respect, humility, contentment, gratitude, and immense demonstrations of resilience through joy, kindness, community spirit, and artistic expression. I think that these values cannot be overstated. Dr. Richard Schwartz, developer of the internal family systems model, has observed 8 C's of self-leadership: confidence, calmness, creativity, clarity, curiosity, courage, compassion, and connectedness. I think now is as important as ever for discovering our individual understandings of the very nature and potential of poetic philosophical beauty, the very nature and potential worth in life, consciousness, and the being of our own existence. For me in this moment, it is to pay respects to everyone and everything responsible for my opportunities to live, create, enjoy, and have a fulfilled voice where there has not been such opportunity in any previous generation. Thank you all for being here and listening. As an ode to respect and humility, as mentioned in the Maha Mangala Sutta, I offer Ophelia's monologue from Shakespeare's Hamlet, originally published around the year 1600. I read it with scornful, disgusted, idealistic disillusionment and sudden desire to create personal distance from others and uncomfortable situations. These emotions mark the start of my exploration on how to argue and complain without taking a morally destructive high ground, without being hypocritical or otherwise unfair in my own adult tantrum. I give myself hope to be more fully human, more myself, yet remain humane. Oh, what noble mind is here overthrown. The courtiers, soldiers, scholars, eye, tongue, sword, the expectancy and rose of the fair state, the glass of fashion and the mold of form, the observed of all observers quite down. And I, of ladies most deject and wretched, that suck the honey of his music vows, now see that noble and most sovereign reason, like sweet bells, jangled out of tune and harsh, that unmatched form and feature of blown youth, blasted with ecstasy. Oh, woe is me, to have seen what I have seen, see what I see. To transition from my ode to respect and humility, I offer a quote from Rumi, who lived between 1207 and 1273. Delusion is a divine curse that makes someone envious, conceited, malicious, so that he doesn't know that the evil he does will strike him back. If he could see his nothingness and his deadly festering wound, pain would arise from looking within, and that pain would save him. I don't believe that a peaceful, solid, fulfilling sense of pride, respect, intimacy, and happiness can be gained by attempts to steal or destroy these in others. I believe these states are internally generated through countless experiences of being treated with noble kindness by others and self. So I offer my respect, humility, and compassion for the difficult processes of rage, grief, rebellion, and complex, inevitable transformation in my own maturity as a caregiver and in children's developing maturity. In 1946, Einstein wrote a telegram against the atomic bomb, decrying that the unleashed power of the atom has changed everything save our modes of thinking, and we thus drift toward unparalleled catastrophe, before appealing that a new type of thinking is essential if mankind is to survive and move toward higher levels. I am likewise inspired by the Dalai Lama in his ongoing refusal to see other humans as inhuman, and his refusal to see opposing parties as his enemy or only within the role of being an enemy. I am inspired by firm guiding hands for action, steady feet, gentle warming hearts, and being welcomed by softly comforting memories in the collective mind. Now, as an ode to contentment and gratitude, as mentioned in the Maha Mangala Sutta, I offer Joy and Sorrow by Khalil Gibran, originally published in 1923. Then a woman said, "Speak to us of joy and sorrow." And he answered, "Your joy is your sorrow unmasked, and the self-same well from which your laughter rises was oftentimes filled with your tears. And how else can it be? The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. Is not the cup that holds your wine the very cup that was burned in the potter's oven? And is not the lute that soothes your spirit the very wood that was hollowed with knives? When you are joyous, look deep into your heart, and you shall find it is only that which has given you sorrow that is giving you joy. When you are sorrowful, look again in your heart, and you shall see that in truth you are weeping for that which has been your delight. Some of you say joy is greater than sorrow, and others say, nay, sorrow is the greater. But I say unto you, they are inseparable. Together they come, and when one sits alone with you at your board, remember that the other is asleep upon your bed. Verily, you are suspended like scales between your sorrow and your joy. Only when you are empty are you at standstill and balanced. When the treasure keeper lifts you to weigh his gold and his silver, needs must your joy or your sorrow rise or fall. I now recite the Metta Sutta, translated by the Amaravati Sangha, as my wish for us all, and in celebration of anyone you have ever appreciated or looked up to as a mentor, role model, hero, guiding light, nourishing elder, or basically decent human being and friend, either in your life or the lives of those around you. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties, and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm, and wise and skillful, not proud or demanding in nature, Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove, wishing in gladness and in safety. May all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm on another, even as a mother, father, and community of caregivers protect with their life their child, their only child. So with a boundless heart, one should cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, free from hatred and ill will, whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness. One should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding. By not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. In summary, I have tried to find a sense of home within my own body, my own family, the homes I work in, my country, my planet, my universe. I continue meditating on the Four Noble Truths of kindly embracing suffering, the causes of suffering, the end to suffering, and pathways to peace. I have tried to share a roadmap for metabolizing the poisons of hatred and despair to create nourishment. As we come to the end of this talk, I would like to take a few moments to breathe and invite each of you to remember what is precious to you, to ground yourselves in whichever part of your bodies would most benefit from your kind awareness, to give thanks for your being in a safe enough place to hear this talk, to give thanks for each one of you and each one who has lived, to give thanks for those who remain alive and for being nourished in this time, this energy, this breathing space, nourished by your own kind and present intention, being one with each cycle of your breath, being one with all starts in life, being one with each release and ending. Being in meditation, we can choose the length of space in between each starting and each ending, just as we can choose to let the rhythms of life take the lead, flowing on and on and on. Apart from life, you are apart from life. To wrap your gift of meditation, I will offer one more poem by William Stafford, published in 1998, Ask Me. Sometime when the river is ice, ask me mistakes I have made, ask me whether what I have done is my life. Others have come in their slow way into my thought, and some have tried to help or to hurt. Ask me what difference their strongest love or hate has made. I will listen to what you say. You and I can turn and look at the silent river and wait. We know the current is there, hidden, and there are comings and goings from miles away that hold the stillness exactly before us. What the river says, that is what I say. Homage to the Blessed One, the Perfected One, the fully awakened One. May each of us continue to awaken and unfold the Buddha nature within ourselves. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Please be aware that audience participation will be recorded, and the floor is now yours. Thank you.
Alrighty, who's got a question? Bill and I are roaming. Alrighty, I've got a question. A couple of weeks ago, Kathryn, we had this talk which sort of centred on how we connect with our inner children, our inner child. And I know you've spent 30 years working as a professional nanny, which is amazing.
Oh, I haven't spent 30 years. I've worked with 30 families.
Oh, 30 families. So I was thinking, you're not old enough for 30 years, so clearly I've read that wrong. But either way, no matter how you cut the cake, you've got a lot of experience working with young children. And I just wondered if you had a view on like how this concept of connecting with the inner child, and how do you connect with that inner sense of innocence and playfulness?
As in, are you asking for me personally?
Yeah. Because I know you're very good at this, because I've seen you rehearsing with playback theatre, and Yeah, I thought you might be able to share a view.
Well, I get afraid a lot, and then I have to be kind to myself. So I think my inner child is very apparent. I am a very emotional person, and I think that sense of emotions, and I just have to work with it. So I think children are very emotional, and they're very honest, and I think that's that the vulnerability and the innocence of maybe not necessarily having many filters. Thank you, Sandy.
It's not like this crowd to be so quiet, so I'm sure there's a question. You've been pretty rowdy the last few weeks.
Thank you for tonight. How do you deal with children and technology, all the problems with technology that seem to be arising more and more, and yeah, how do you actually cope? How do you teach parents to deal with technology and children and the consequences? And yes, can you have a voice about that, please?
As a nanny, my role is more about supporting and in some ways being in line with how time is managed for the whole family. And I'm very lucky that we are able to rely on other community members and the schools, and each family has their own personal sense of values and priorities to be respected. So for me, I need to take a very humble approach to that. However, when children have wanted the iPads or the internet too much, then I will approach it as a simple, I'm saying no, or I'm saying yes, or what's the negotiation process here? Is there a specific situation that you have in mind, say with your own family?
No, it's not to do with my family. My family are very grown up. And I read the papers and I hear so many difficulties. I mean, schools now are starting to actually take the mobile phones off the children because there's so many problems, cyberbullying, sexting, and and then parents coming in and threatening the schools, and a lot of that's to do with the phone, because the children are actually contacting their parents and complaining about things. And so there's an enormous problem that there's violence, enormous violence on the videos and the things that the children watch, and also terrible sexual problems, abuse. The latest in the paper today was that there's some influencer, a young man, who is teaching young boys to be violent, and that's how you treat girls. And
so I'm going to pause you there at the moment, and I'm really, I'm feeling the sense of anxiety and responsibility for these families, these people, these institutions that are all having to struggle together as a community, and the elements of disconnect and disrespect, which does kind of unravel the community spirit, which all people need to thrive.
It seems to be opposite to Buddhism, the opposite to compassion and kindness and gentleness, that these children are learning all these very, very destructive behaviours and thinking that that's a hero. These people are heroes that are bringing in all it's very...
I think it's so important to really look at the systems of power, the systems of hierarchy, and what it means to be strong, what it means to be powerful. And what I brought out in my speech was, it's painful to be humble, to say, I don't know how to help, to say, can you help me with this? And to also, it's that balance of how do you say, I don't know everything, and yet I'm responsible, and I will say no when it's painful, and I will hold the pushback against when I am positioned as your enemy, as the opposition to what you are striving for in life, what your impulses are leading you towards to have, to have communication and connection with people who seem more present or who will give you something easy that will make you feel better. But what is the long-term perspective of what's good, what's right, what's backed up by science? It's a lot of emotional regulation and impulse control, and it's a struggle that all children and adults and people who hold positions of authority and power, that's such a huge struggle. And how do we all get on the same page? How do we show a sense of not necessarily jumping into action, but just getting on the same page to start with, to have a common vision?
Yes, thank you. I'll let other people have an opinion.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks.
Any more questions from the floor? Sounds very formal, doesn't it, saying from the floor? Okay. We've got one online question. I'll let you have a look at it first.
A question from Maximus. Can you expand on the idea of morally destructive high ground? Yes. So when I chose that poem from Shakespeare, Ophelia's little monologue, I was very angry. I was very, very angry, and I had to dig deep in how am I going to complain without, and how do I hold this emotion of wanting to smash into the other person without actually doing that in real life, or doing it with violent communication. So that to me is the morally destructive high ground. It's so easy to say, I'm better than you and I deserve more, and because I deserve more, I also deserve to make you pay. You can have revenge, I can have revenge, and it gets very messy. So with children and siblings in particular, say someone will say no to something or other, and the other one will just try to hit the other person because they have that rage response. Or someone will have a toy will get snatched, and someone will go, snatch, 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 hit, 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 you're mean, you're mean, you're mean, other words. And something that I do a lot is to, sometimes there's no arguing, and I have to say to them, can you listen to yourselves, please? Can you see how this is going round and round in circles? How are you both actually going to have time to play with the toy if you both are hitting each other and not getting a turn? So literally today, I was driving kids back from school pickup. One of them had a pair of fake glasses. The other one snatched it. And then I said, okay, can you give that back, please? Because your sister has not finished her turn. If you would like it, please ask politely and wait for her response. And then to the sister, he actually gave it back because he like trusts me and respects me, which I was like, yes, thank you so much. And then the sister, I said to her, all right, finish your turn. And once you are done, will you please remember that he has asked kindly, and then give it to him when you're ready to put the toy down. And she did. It was great. And I asked her to thank him for waiting, and I asked him to thank her for remembering him and actually following through with what he asked for. So that's an example of taking a high ground without being morally destructive. Or, yeah, I think. Does that answer your question, Maximus? Can we?
We'll come through on the chat.
Oh, will it? Okay, great. I don't understand technology, so this is probably another thing. Okay. All right. I'm a Samsung user, so I don't understand Apple. Okay. Well, I don't see anything else coming through. I assume this is a chat. Okay, I'll just leave this here. If anything comes through, then I'll respond.
He hasn't come back, but I'll have a peek. No, he must be happy with your answer.
Okay, thank you.
Alrighty, is there no more questions? Okay, well, if there's no more questions, then we would like to thank you, Kathryn, for your beautiful talk.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, and just sharing your experience. I was particularly looking forward to this talk tonight.
Oh, thank you.
Because your one last year was so beautiful as well. So I'd encourage everyone to listen to the talk once it gets posted. Because I think Kathryn's storytelling is very beautiful. I don't know about you, but listening to stories over podcasts is just such a wonderful experience. So, yeah, we'd like to thank you. The other thing I noticed was that we actually skipped over the meditation. So, would people like a meditation?
I would.
You would? Okay.
Yes.
All right, we will play the meditation after we've said thank you to Kathryn. So let's pay our respects and then we'll do it twice.
Right now? Me? Okay. This one?
Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, sorry. Oh.
All right, we'll just get our AD friend to put the meditation on and we can take it from there. And then while she's getting that up, I'll just let you know that next Friday night we're having a special event that will be showing a documentary and a question and answer session. So if we all pray to the devas of technology, this week I'm going to be interviewing Aya Tataloka. And Aya Tataloka is an incredible woman. I've never met anyone so amazing. She is one of the first Western women to be ordained, fully ordained, as a Theravadan bhikkhuni. And I'm going to interview her. She is in the Redwood Forest, deep in California. So if you have any questions you'd like to ask her, like questions about the bhikkhuni Sangha in general, about ordaining, the situation of nuns, like whatever it is, let me know, because I'm putting the questions through to her, and then we'll do the interview, bring it in here. show the documentary, show the interview, and I think it's going to be a really beautiful night. And so please come along. And in the meantime, we'll cue up the meditation, and we'll just enjoy a meditation to finish off. Thank you. Okay, so the spirit of Ajahn Brahm is here. He's everywhere. Okay, well, how about we close the night with paying our respects to the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and I can lead the chant from here if you like. Okay. Araham Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddham Bhagavantam Abhivademi Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammam Namasami Supatipano Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Sangham Namami Buddham Dhammam Sangham Namasami Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, thank you everyone. So just remember next week, Friday night, very special night. We're going to show the Mahateri Tata Loka. I've been coached on the right pronunciation. And then Sunday will be the Kalyana Friendship Community, and my wonderful friend Virginia is going to tell us all about the power of chi, which is going to be so much fun because if you didn't know, the big